Okay, so this happened back when I was in the seventh grade. My family was hella poor, so we really could never afford luxuries such as candy and toys. I only ever got the essentials growing up. We lived in a small apartment, and my parents worked multiple jobs just to make ends meet. I often went to school with homemade lunches that lacked the flair of my classmates' meals. At school, I had a best friend named Juan. He was the best lineman on our football team, which automatically made him one of the coolest kids in our grade. Every day, Juan would come to school with an enviable collection of candy and snacks. He'd have the newest flavors of chips, limited edition chocolates, and all sorts of goodies that he would munch on throughout the day. But Juan had a rule: he wouldn't share his snacks unless you were dating him. I remember watching in envy as kids would line up to get a taste of his snacks whenever he got a new girlfriend. It seemed like everyone wanted a piece of the action, and they all played along, even if it meant pretending to like Juan. One day, Juan got a new girlfriend. Her name was Sarah, and she was the envy of every girl in our grade. Juan showered her with candy and snacks, and I watched as she flaunted her treats, making the rest of us green with envy. They were the power couple of our grade, but like most middle school relationships, it didn't last long. A week later, they broke up and Sarah moved on, but not before stuffing herself with all the snacks one had given her. Seeing Sarah's success gave me an idea. I knew one had a soft spot for me. We had been friends since elementary school, and I knew he liked me more than just a friend. So, I decided to fake liking him to get snacks. It seemed like a harmless plan at the time. After all, it was just middle school, and I was hungry. The next day, I made my move. During lunch, I sat next to Juan and started to drop hints that I was interested in him. I laughed at his jokes, complimented his football skills, and made sure to be extra friendly. Juan, being the typical middle school boy, didn't take long to ask me out. "Will you be my girlfriend?" he asked, looking hopeful. I said yes, and the very next day, Juan brought me an enormous bag of snacks. There were chocolates, chips, gummy bears, and even some homemade cookies his mom had baked. I felt a twinge of guilt but quickly brushed it off. I had what I wanted, and that was all that mattered. For the next week, I enjoyed the treats Juan showered on me. Every day, he would bring something new, and I would pretend to be the doting girlfriend. But my conscience started to weigh on me. Every time I saw Juan's genuine smile and excitement to see me, I felt worse about what I was doing. He was a nice guy who deserved better than someone using him for snacks. Finally, after a week, I couldn't take it anymore. I broke up with him, making up an excuse about needing to focus on school. Juan was heartbroken. He didn't say much, but the hurt in his eyes was evident. He quietly handed me the last bag of snacks he had brought for me that day and walked away. I took the snacks, but they tasted bitter with the guilt I felt. After we broke up, things changed. Juan stopped bringing snacks to school, and we drifted apart. Our once close friendship was now just a distant memory. The other kids moved on, but I couldn't shake the feeling of guilt that followed me. I realized I had hurt someone who genuinely cared about me for something as trivial as snacks. Years passed, and I moved on to high school and then college. But the memory of what I did to Juan stayed with me. It was a lesson that haunted me, a reminder of how easily we can hurt others when we let our selfish desires take control. One day, many years later, I decided to reach out to Juan. I found him on social media and sent him a message, apologizing for what I did back in middle school. I told him how sorry I was for using him and how I regretted my actions. To my surprise, Juan responded. "I appreciate your apology," he wrote. "It was a long time ago, and we were just kids. I've moved on, and I hope you have too." His forgiveness was more than I deserved, but it helped me find some peace. Juan's response made me realize the importance of forgiveness and owning up to our mistakes. I had learned a valuable lesson about kindness and empathy, and I was determined to be a better person. Now, as I look back on those middle school days, I understand that our actions, no matter how small, can have a profound impact on others. Using someone for personal gain is never okay, and it took losing a friend to realize that. I strive to be someone who uplifts others rather than exploiting them, and I hope that by sharing my story, others can learn from my mistakes and choose kindness over selfishness. Years went by, and the memory of Juan still lingered in my mind. I often wondered how different things could have been if I had treated him better. Life has a way of teaching us lessons, sometimes in the hardest ways. I've carried the guilt of my actions for so long that it became a part of me. During a college reunion, I saw a familiar face in the crowd. It was Juan. He looked different, more confident and mature, but his eyes still had that same warmth I remembered. I hesitated, unsure if I should approach him, but fate had other plans. He saw me and walked over with a smile. "Hey," he said, his voice friendly. "It's been a long time." "Yeah, it has," I replied, feeling a mix of emotions. "How have you been?" We chatted for a while, catching up on each other's lives. One told me about his job, his travels, and how he had found a passion for helping others. He had turned his childhood experiences into a drive to make a positive impact, working with underprivileged kids and ensuring they had the support and resources we lacked growing up. I admired his resilience and the way he had turned his pain into something beautiful. As we talked, I felt the weight of my past actions lift slightly. One had forgiven me, but more importantly, he had moved on and thrived despite the hurt I had caused. Seeing Juan's success and happiness inspired me to do better. I decided to volunteer at a local community center, helping kids with their homework and organizing activities. It was my way of giving back and making amends for the mistakes of my past. The joy and gratitude of the kids reminded me of the importance of kindness and empathy. Juan and I stayed in touch after the reunion. We would occasionally meet up for coffee or attend events together. Our friendship wasn't the same as it was in middle school, but it was stronger in a different way. We had both grown and changed, and we supported each other in our journeys. Looking back, I'm grateful for the lessons I learned from my experiences with Juan. They taught me about the power of forgiveness, the importance of empathy, and the value of genuine friendship. I've carried these lessons with me throughout my life, striving to be a better person and to treat others with the kindness and respect they deserve. The secret I had carried for years was finally out in the open, and it no longer had power over me. By facing my past and seeking forgiveness, I was able to heal and move forward. And through my actions, I hope to make a positive impact on the world, one small act of kindness at a time. As I continue my journey, I know that the mistakes of my past don't define me. What matters is how I choose to learn from them and grow. Juan's forgiveness and the lessons I learned from him have shaped me into a better person, and for that, I will always be grateful.